Hello, everybody. Welcome into the NBA Front Office Show. It's Friday. You know what that means.
Front Office Friday, March Madness edition. We're on the wrong sides. Let's fix
We are on the wrong sides. That's okay. We can fix that.
There we go.
There we go.
Now we're
home. Everybody. Woo.
Yeah.
What a fun time around the NBA.
Absolutely.
Around professional sports in general. Got all kinds of stuff going on. We're happy to have you all here. Remember, this is your show on Fridays. We're taking your questions, your comments. Fire them off in the chat. Keith, how you doing?
I'm good, man. I pulled a U. I stayed up till almost 2 o'clock in the morning. Well, it's a little bit after 2, I think, by the time I finally fell asleep. I got wrapped up, and I didn't watch it really much NBA, so I watched a couple NBA games that had completed last night, and I was fired up. I just couldn't sleep, and then finally crashed out around 2 o'clock.
I think I went to bed around 5 your time.
Jeez, that's not great.
That's right about where I'm like, after last night's game, I'm like, sleep is going to be elusive tonight. That's
all right. Let me get this out of the way right now before I forget. So all season long, I have been OKC, then Denver, then like whoever in the West, right? Like a whole bunch of teams in the West. I'm changing it up. It's OKC still by themselves. And now I'm putting the Spurs and the Lakers together. And Denver's in with the group of everybody else. That win last night was so damn impressive because third game in 4 nights, weird travel, weird back-to-back. It got down. And there was a moment where it's like, all right, if they just punt from here, it's like no one could even really be mad, right? Like, yeah, you're bummed the win streak ends and whatever, but it's like, all right, it just got away from them on the road in a weird back-to-back. And then Luka goes off. Marcus Smart makes a million Marcus Smart plays. Reeves, LeBron. Like, I don't know, man. The Spurs, I believe in them, but they're young. We haven't seen them actually do it yet. And then of all the rest of the teams in the West, I'm in on the Lakers the most.
They had every reason to lose that game. They even, hinted that they might be resting guys, that they may decide to. They had Austin Reeves, LeBron James, Luka Doncic, all as questionable going into the game. It looks like they were preparing to say, okay, let's, second night of a back-to-back. We got in at like 5 a.m.
Yeah.
Traveling from Houston all the way across to Miami. You're playing one of the fastest paced teams in the league, second night of a back-to-back after you've gone through this difficult stretch. Hey, we did what we needed to do. We beat Houston twice. We beat our direct playoff competitors. Let's take our foot off the gas. Let's take a night, and then we'll regroup or whatever. And instead, apparently, it's LeBron said, no, I'm going to play. And then the other guys went, well, that dude's
if LeBron's
playing, like, what are we doing? If he's going to play.
Yeah, unless I have a legit injury, I have no excuse. Yeah.
Exactly. So, it was I was not expecting them to win that game, especially the way they came out at the start of the game. They looked exhausted. Like usually teams that are tired and road weary and all of that, they can usually kind of fake it for a few quarters, and then the fatigue kicks in. Usually, like midway through the third quarter, it starts to really get to them, And they looked dead on their feet the moment the game started. They just looked exhausted. They immediately gave up like a 5-0, 7-0 run, something like that, and just kind of hung around, turned things around a bit in the second quarter. We kept saying, what does a win look like in this? Well, it would be they just kind of hang in there, keep it close, and then give themselves a chance to win in the final 5 minutes. They went the other way and blew the doors off the Heat in the third quarter and then managed to hang on to their lead in the fourth. And a lot of it was just Luka's shot making. I thought their defense kind of fell apart in the fourth. They were giving up tons of points. That's where I thought the fatigue really kicked in, but it just didn't matter because nobody could stop Luka. That was, Keith, I spent 2 decades watching Kobe. That was a Kobe-esque performance. That was unbelievable what Luka did last night.
Yeah, I mean, I did not, like, watch much of it live. I was keeping tabs and watching. And then when I saw, all right, Luke is having one of those nights, that was one of the games I watched last night. And he was just like, I mean, it was one of those ones where like I'm not even watching live. We had scored 60 points and I'm cackling at some of the shots he made. He should not have taken
No.
because he was so hot. It's like, go ahead, man. Like, why not? Like, you could have told me, hey, did you see in the middle of his 60-point, Luka threw in a behind the back shot from the opposite foul line?
Right.
Sure. Yes, why not?
The one he hit where Davion Mitchell, I think it was, closed out on him, and he's on the left side. That's his favorite spot, but he's on the left side, and he's got no space and puts it up. And that's where, if you're Miami, you just throw your hands up and you're like, what are we supposed to do at that point when he's making that shot? There was just no stopping him. That was an unbelievable performance. And then you add in the second night of a back-to-back factor, and that's why I wasn't going to sleep till 5 a.m. Eastern time. Because I'm like, my God, you're just buzzing after a game like that.
Yeah, and I fully recognize it is great times right now. They're not going to win every game the rest of the way. Yeah. There will be a loss. And once you have won, what are they on? 8 in a row now?
Yeah.
Once you pass a 5-game win streak, the first loss is usually either a bad loss or a blowout.
Yeah.
Just because the wheels kind of come off and it's like, hey, we just won a whole bunch in a row. It is what it is. But just I hope people then don't overreact to like, see, that's it. It's over. It's, they stink again. And,
we never overreact.
No. I know. I only listen to most of your post-game shows and hear a little bit of a sideways attitude, but that's okay. Only once in a while.
We have a lot of fun with that. I can't tell you how much like it's this amazing run. And Luka drops 60 and everything's positive, and it's like Austin Reeves sucks. I'm like, I know. Can we just be happy?
Yeah,
just be happy.
So 2 years ago, when the Celtics, just killed everybody on their way to the title. I mean, one of the statistically holds up as one of the better seasons of all time, and there were still people like going into the playoffs. Like, I don't know, man. Like, Drew Holiday has these weird games, and it's like, oh, the once a week where Drew Holiday isn't good and everyone else is. Geez, I get it. What a terrible place to be in. Like, yeah, it's just funny. It's just it's just how people get it. And I get it. Everybody wants to get a little weird, but I mean, yeah, what a ridiculous game. And I'll also credit too, JJ Redick is owed a ton of credit in this win streak they are throwing a lot of different defensive looks out there, not even just game to game, but within game. It seems like he's got 3 or 4 things planned where it's going to be, let's try this, let's try that. Let's throw this kind of look at it. A lot of it is, when I say this term, because somebody's going to get angry about this, they're junk defenses. That doesn't mean that they're bad. It's just the term you use because it's basically another way of saying like a weird defense.
You're throwing a curveball
thing. Yeah, exactly. We just, it's just what you call it. You call it a junk defense. But I mean, they mixed in and I'd be interested, and I don't know, you'd get a real answer out of them because coaches are always a little sketchy to give you real answers on defense, especially. But they played what looked like almost like a triangle and 2 at times last night, whereas like, is that what this is? With some of the stuff, and it's masking for some of the flaws that some of the guys have as individual defenders. So it's pretty good stuff right now.
Yeah, they're really communicating and playing hard, playing well together. LeBron is, LeBron's just like, hey, what does the team need from me tonight? Cool, yeah, I'll do
awesome.
That.
Really cool.
Triple double for him, 15 rebounds. Unbelievable.
And that sets up for LeBron to, whether he stays with the Lakers or there's been all this talk of him going back to Cleveland. Like now this is all setting up for, like, I've been calling it LeBron the connector, because that's really what he is now. He's a connector. And yeah, absolutely. He can still take over moments of games. Even in this win streak, there's been moments where it's been like LeBron and other guys without Luka and Austin Reeves. And he takes over the game at that point but it really is, it becomes cliche to say this, but he's giving the game whatever it needs. at the moments he's out there. And even if by his own admission, I don't think he's Superman diving on the floor very, very often anymore. I liked his Instagram post where he's like, ouch.
Ouch.
That was, then said something like, don't know how often I'll do that. But I mean, yeah. And if he's going to do that, he's going to sacrifice. And like you said, if he's going to tell people, hey, I'm playing tonight, it's really hard for anybody else who isn't legitimately injured to be like, all right, I'm not going to go. Like, I'll take the night. Like you have to get on board. It's really something else.
Yeah. It's impossible for anybody else not to do the things that LeBron's doing when he's doing it 41 and has every excuse in the world to not do those things. He can say, look, I'm in the GOAT conversation. I don't need to do those things. Instead, he's doing all the extra effort stuff. And that's, I think, picking up the team quite a bit.
The natives are getting a little restless in the chat. We just got a couple versions of go to Lakers Nation and talk about this. Talk about other stuff.
Really? I didn't see that. Maybe I'm.
Yeah, it was just two.
Oh.
So, and it's one guy's a Clippers fan, obviously. So of course he doesn't want to hear it.
Oh, well.
But hey, he doesn't actually exist then either.
So why is there a leprechaun in our chat then, or a unicorn, or the boogeyman, or something else that does not exist? There's no such thing as a Clippers fan.
If I can be here praising the Lakers, we can all take a couple minutes. So I'm going a couple minutes off the top. So let me say this too, because I made my statement at the beginning. Denver, I'm just like, I don't know. Adam Morris, who, if people don't know, covers the Nuggets, has covered them for years and does an incredible job. He said after their loss to the Grizzlies, he's like, this team just doesn't have it. And I'm inclined to agree with him. That was just an absolutely awful loss for the Nuggets against the Grizzlies.
How did they lose that?
Turnovers. Jokic was awful. I mean, I think he had 10 turnovers. And he had like 8 of them in the competitive portion of the game. Because it wasn't even close at the end, really. It was close score wise, but it was one of those ones where it's like, all right, unless there's some like craziness, Memphis is not gonna lose this. And Memphis they showed up. The guys they put out there played really, really hard. That whole game long. I watched almost all of that game, and those guys were going absolutely like balls to the wall against the Nuggets, trying to get it done. And if the Suns weren't incredibly banged up in their own rough patch, I don't know that Denver's not in the play-in tournament right now.
Yeah, I mean they're barely hanging on. If the Suns now they've got a 3-game gap on Phoenix right now.
Yeah,
but that's because Phoenix has lost 4 in a row.
Yeah.
So I mean that's giving a little bit of security. We're looking at this West playoff race. We've been talking about 3 through 7. Keith, we're not far because Phoenix is now in this 4-game losing streak. We're not far from this being a 3 through 6 battle.
Yeah,
and Phoenix just being out of the mix to get out of the 17, which actually gives. I wonder if that will affect the way these 4, the Lakers, the Wolves, the Rockets, and the Nuggets, approach some of these games, because the primary driver for these 4 teams, the main motivator was don't be 7.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, just don't be 7. Now, of course, there's reason to want to move up and land in certain spots and all of that. But the main thing is nobody wants to be 7. Nobody wants to add an extra game, if not 2 games, onto their schedule. Phoenix, with their 4-game losing streak, may be settling into that 7 seed, which, like, if you're the Nuggets right now, you're breathing a sigh of relief. You're saying, man, we dropped a game we had no business losing, but at least Phoenix has given us, we still have a 3-game cushion. I don't recall where the tiebreaker is between the Nuggets and the Suns, but at least we've got that cushion. I wonder if there's less incentive for these teams to really push through the tape here at the end.
The first part of the question here on Denver Lakers series, we could come back to that one.
Yeah.
Would the Lakers tank to 4th to avoid Denver and play Houston instead? Your only challenge with that is that sounds great, but then you're going to play the Thunder in the second round.
Right.
So I think you'd rather be 3rd and take your chances. I also think this is going to be too close all the way. I mean, maybe in the last week of the season, there's a little bit more clarity on stuff, but I think it's going to be too close for teams to play seeding shenanigans. I don't know that you can, because you may try to pull it right. We've seen that before. Teams have tried to tank into a seed, and then the other team's like, oh, I get what you're doing. All right, we're going to do this. on our end here. So I think you got to be very careful of that.
And you just never know. Look, Denver lost to Memphis. Like you never know what's going to happen. So that when it's this close, that makes it really, really tough to do that kind of stuff just because of how tight the race is. Which, speaking of which, we talk about close races. This is part of why I made the point last night. Like Miami wasn't like the Lakers. I don't want to drag this back into Lakers land here, but the Lakers were not facing a team that was a random Wednesday night in January and they just kind of don't have it that night or whatever. Miami, Orlando, Atlanta. They are in a battle right now. Toronto, add them into that group. They all four of them right now. I'd Philly and do it as well. I've got Philly kind of fading because of injuries and stuff. But in terms of games back,
Charlotte,
they're right there in the mix.
Only a couple games back.
Yeah.
There. So that Heat team, they're scrapping for wins.
So you've got 5 teams essentially battling for 2 spots because once again, no one wants to be in the play-in or Keith, as you call it, the pit.
Yeah. And I'll go here, right? Tomas says any team intentionally losing to get a specific matchup is textbook tempting the basketball gods. You just don't do that. Completely agree with that. And then also Salistar says just win as much as you can and let everything else fall into place. I think that's the exact right approach. Like don't try to start engineering matchups because you can only control your part of that, and that's not great. Just before we get into other stuff, Kentucky and Santa Clara is tipped off. Shout out to Santa Clara for playing what is essentially a 9:00 in the morning game for them here in the tournament. Kentucky is got a lot of NBA-ish guys, but they're not that typical Kentucky loaded. But if anybody's watching this game, keep an eye on Alan Graves of Santa Clara. He's a freshman, and the analytics hold him up as one of the best and most productive players in all of college basketball. He's probably not going to come into the draft, which is why I didn't include him on my prospects list, but he'll 100% be on there next year.
That's interesting. Okay. All right, let's go here. We'll get into some of the chat questions you flagged here. Do you think the league is waiting to punish the Clippers for Kawhi, given how the draft pick to OKC could play out? I mean, they're not going to take the pick away from OKC. That'd be punishing the Thunder.
Yeah, that's it. They're certainly not gonna weigh on that. I think, and after talking to some people, both in the media who have really gotten into this and some of this, I think it's legit. Like they're still working through the investigation stuff. And I think one of the things I've heard is every time they kind of, all right, we've got this like a new, like they turn over a new rock and there's more to find,
more bugs underneath.
Yeah, and I think it's not like breaking, like, oh my gosh, breaking news stuff here. I'll leave that to Pablo Torre, but I think it's become a situation where it really is a spot where it's I just think they're in a place where it is like, okay, now we're able to get a little bit more detail, a little bit more of this, a little bit more of that. I get it now. So I'll pull it up here. He's re-clarifying what he meant. Simply not let that pick go to OKC naturally. Yeah, I don't think I think at this point we're going to see the season play out, and then this is going to come down whenever the Clippers are eliminated, and whatever punishments are will be like looking forward punishments because it's just we've only got like roughly 3.5 weeks left in the regular season. I don't think they're going to mess around too much.
Yeah, I agree. I think that at this point you're probably not gonna see that. It's surprising. I thought we would get something by now, but like you said, maybe it's just every time they uncover something new, it just extends things that much more.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Yeah. And Pablo Torre still is coming out with new stuff and new people coming forward and all kinds of stuff. So it's, it's going to take a while. And, this is a great point here. I don't know why people think it's conspiracy, same law office, which is the same people the NBA use for like all of their investigations. Took 6 months to handle Robert Sarver with clear-cut emails. Yeah. These things take time. And if it's going to be these major punishments that many people have talked about, they're not going to rush it. They're going to make sure they absolutely get it done and get it done correctly the first
time. All right, let's go here. Can we admit there's actually a slim chance we see a Lakers Celtics finals? I mean, it's not a 0% chance we get it. Yeah, I mean, still any two teams that you're going to get them in the finals is always going to be a less than 50% chance of it happening. But sure, I mean, anything is possible in this crazy. Look, we went into the East playoffs last year saying it's Boston, it's Cleveland. They're meeting in the Eastern Conference Finals. We know that's happening. We might as well just fast forward. And then neither team got there. Said it was Indy and New York. The NBA, I think, is the most because it's 7-game series and the way the game's played and everything. It's the least upset likely pro sport that we have. Like hockey is very, you get a hot goaltender and that's it, right? You can make a real run. That's very upset, high probability upset. Or higher probability, I suppose, upset than, say, the NBA. But nonetheless, you do still have crazy things happen in this league and teams get through that you wouldn't expect. So, sure, anything is certainly possible to happen in these types of situations.
Yeah, and, I mean, the wrong injury for any team can – I mean, Cade Cunningham is down, right? Like that, if he can't get back, that might completely change the Pistons, entire and the way their season ends if he's not back. Fairly soon. So that's those are the bummer. That's the downside to it. Where unfortunately those things we can't really predict. I gotta pull this up. Keith was 30 seconds away from admitting he's now a Lakers fan. One day it'll happen. The minute they start giving me a paycheck, absolutely, that's when it'll happen.
I did a quick search here to see how the tiebreakers work in the West. The Lakers have the tiebreaker over Denver, Houston, and Minnesota. Denver has the tiebreaker over Minnesota right now, 3-1. Minnesota Houston has the tiebreaker over Minnesota, but they have 2 games against each other left. It's 1-0 Houston right now. I need to look at Houston versus Denver and see where that's at. But this could really come into play like in a tiebreaker scenario in the Western Conference right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's I didn't realize the Lakers are in quite that good a shape. Like that's really good.
That was what their back-to-back wins over Houston provided them, was the tiebreaker there, and that shifted things quite a bit, I think. All right, let's go here. What do you think of a potential Franz Jalen Brunson pairing? How are they getting Franz?
Yeah,
or is Jalen Brunson being traded to Orlando?
I think probably the other way around.
I'm sure
would be my guess. I don't hate the idea. I mean, it's going to cost Anunoby or Mikal Bridges just for the salary matching, and that could be one where, I mean, we're going down hypothetical lane here, but it is like maybe right. Like you could see like if the Knicks wash out early again, and it's like we got to get more offense or playmaking. Mikal Bridges is in like a horrendous slump. I mean, he has been really, really bad recently. So that's tough. So I think I don't hate the idea of that. I don't know. And Franz, I don't know if we talked about it, but he gave Jason Beattie of the Orlando Sentinel an interview the other day and talked about like how frustrating it is trying to get back from this high ankle sprain, and admitted he should not have played in the Berlin game. I think we all get why he did. And then he said, and then when he came back the second time, he was really, really struggling. So it's it's tough. I mean, there are a bunch of people saying, what about his brother? His brother will be a free agent. They just go with him on a minimum contract.
I do wonder, is Orlando in a spot if they don't go as far as they're wanting to? They don't have the kind of postseason that they wanted when they assembled this team. Are they so expensive that they consider some type of a salary dump, or maybe not a complete just jettison a player to save money, but some type of trade that does shed some salary? Would that be a consideration for them this summer?
Has to be. They can't go out again in the first round in a relatively non-competitive series and then go in with 4 guys making 30 plus million with 3 of those guys essentially over 40. And that's where we're looking with Banchero, Wagner, both on max deals, Bain on a near max, and then Jalen Suggs over $30 million. And then you got Jonathan Isaac and Wendell Carter. And then you get Anthony Black bumps up to $10 million, and he's due for an extension this summer. Like it's that you can't. It's way that team is way too expensive. They're second apron. Yeah, they're dancing around the second apron next year, with how expensive they are.
Yeah, that's and so that'll be something to keep an eye on. That could lead to some drastic changes to Orlando this summer. They could be a team with some motivation to move off some contracts. Like what happened? Could they move on from like a Jalen Suggs or some? I don't think they would move Franz or Paulo. I mean, I guess if they really go out like first round or something, you never know.
But and that's the tough thing, right? I can tell you guys with all certainty, they love all their guys.
Yeah,
but a lot of teams love all their guys, but you just can't be that expensive and be a team that's fighting to stay out of the play-in tournament. Like, it's just that's not good enough. And the East is getting better. Those teams are behind them are either already good. I mean, the East has 10 legit, like decent teams now. And you have a team like Washington is going to have Trae Young and Anthony Davis, and their young players improving. And Indiana is going to be right back to being Indiana. So there's a world where Orlando's like, somewhere between the 6th and 9th best team going into next season, just as we kind of know it today. Like that becomes really tough. So I think it's at some point you have to say, hey, we love these guys, but we have to rebalance this team salary-wise. And it's the long-term nature of these deals. I mean, you have the spot track sheet up there. You're not even to the end of some of these deals. Like just what you're showing. I mean, keep going.
We're going to 2030.
Yeah, exactly. Because you're on long deals, and Paulo, because we cut it off at 2030 on the main view here, his goes one more year past that. So I mean, and then again, Anthony Black is due for a new contract. So it's Jonathan Isaac's done. Like that's why they redid this contract the way they did it. He's going to be gone, either traded or waived. But yeah, I mean, I think Suggs maybe. I think Suggs the one you could sell the easiest is trading because he's just never healthy. And you could sell it as like, hey, with how expensive we are, we have to have these expensive players on the court more. Franz, it was a freak injury, so don't think they're super worried about that. And I don't think it'll be Paulo. I think they are pretty locked in on him being their franchise guy. And Desmond Bane's been great. So
yeah,
and you got to remember too, if you trade Paulo, these other guys, there's overlap in the positions between Franz, Bane, and Suggs. There's no overlap with Paulo. So you have to remember you kind of keep Paulo, and then you have to rework some of that overlap on the wing.
All right. Let's go here. It said, all right, enough Lakers talk. Save that for Lakers Nation.
Good place for the back part.
Let's talk March Madness. Which lottery picks impressed you yesterday? I mean, how about
AJ Tabonsa was awesome.
Yep.
Yesterday, even though his team lost, he played great. Let's see. I thought he's not a lottery, but I'll keep it to lottery because I don't want to go super deep on all of this. I thought Cam Boozer came alive as the game went along for Duke and started playing better. As that game went.
Did you think they were going to lose at any point?
I did when it was about midway through the second half when I was like, all right, they're going to win. If anybody didn't watch, Siena hadn't subbed. They played the same 5 guys the entire game.
They ran out of gas.
And they just, they were running out of gas. And the coach was like, it was a gamble that we took. Like we had our best 5 guys and thought that was the way to stay in the game. And clearly they did stay in the game. But yeah, I mean, I was a little nervous that they might lose. I got to refresh myself on who even played yesterday. I thought Tyler Tanner played well. He's probably not a lottery pick, but he's a little point guard from Vanderbilt. The Illinois guys were pretty good. Houston kind of did their thing. Who else played yesterday? Ryan Conwell was all right for Louisville. He had a nice game. So the Michigan guy, Lemborg, was really good. Again, maybe he plays himself into the back back end. I'll pull this one because it's a draft one. How will Boozer translate to the NBA? 6'9" center. He's not. He's only playing center because their center is hurt. He's a power forward. He's a power forward with some small forward skills. So it's I said this yesterday. I don't think you were with me yet yesterday, Trevor.
Mhm.
Remember when being a tweener was like the worst thing you could be?
Oh yeah.
It was like, oh, that's
you
horrible.
did not want to be a
Like,
tweener.
this is great. You can play multiple positions. This is awesome. So definitely not a center. He's more of a 4 with some 3 skills. Maybe in some really super small ball lineups, you could play him at the 5, but yeah, he definitely a 4. He's only playing the 5 right now because their starting center Patrick Gungba is hurt.
All right, let's go here. Why won't the NBA and WNBA see the big 3 and Unrivaled as competitors?
Can answer this separately. Unrivaled is one part of it is Unrivaled's not at the same time as the WNBA.
Yeah.
So they're not going to stress over that part of it. But Unrivaled is pretty good, and a lot of people really seem to like it. But the main reason is now that the WNBA, CBA will knock on wood, looks like it's going to be done. It move along. So I think that's going to be really good for them. Is like it's 3-on-3, and like people like it's nice. It's a
Totally
fun
different
thing to watch once in a while, but I still think people like real basketball. And then the big 3, it's nowhere close to a competitor to the NBA.
Yeah.
Like, it's not anywhere like the big 3 again. Cool idea. And Ice Cube said it himself. Like he wanted it because he was like, man, I watched this guy play pickup and he can still play. I want to see him still play. Yeah. And that's why he started. That's why it's all older, mostly retired players that are playing. But they're not anywhere close to competing.
No, it's like is the NFL worried about Arena League football? You know, stuff like that. And that's not that it's not fun. It certainly is fun, and I'll throw on a game every now and then. But it's not a competitor to the NBA, and I don't think it's even intended to be. So.
No. It isn't. It's intended to be its own separate thing with that. I mean, sure, they would absolutely love it if it was like this is crazy, and now everybody's watching it. Somebody asked in the chat, I can't find it, but is Carlos Boozer? If anybody doesn't know, Carlos Boozer's son, is he better? Cam Boozer is a better prospect coming in. Yeah. It's expected he'll have the better career, and he's still in the mix for a lot of teams to be the number 1 overall pick. It's probably going to be AJ DeBonce or Darren Peterson, but he's still in the mix. So a lot of teams really, really like Cam Boozer.
All right, let's go here. Ace Bailey's looking great. Do you see him moving to shooting guard, or is he still a wing?
I mean, a shooting guard is a wing. Like, yes, like he's still a wing because a shooting guard is a wing, but yeah, I think that's where we're going to see him mostly play is 2-3, especially in the way that roster is coming together. They're clearly going to do what they can to try to re-sign Walker Kessler. So you're going to have a Kessler, Jackson, Markkanen front line, and that means Bailey probably needs to play at the 2 if he's going to start, and then that puts Keontae George at that point guard and another high draft pick and some good players off the bench. Like that Jazz team is set up to be, I talked about the Wizards making a big jump. Pacers, Jazz are going to make a pretty big jump next year.
Yeah, they definitely want to. I mean, they're ready to roll for next season, especially if they get a top pick this year, which don't let me forget, we need to spin the wheel.
Yeah, we'll do our spin at the end. Yep.
For the end of the show here. All right.
Ace Bailey, though, he was awesome last night. He had 30-something points. Cody Williams played really well. Also, Elijah Harkless had a nice game. I mean, I get it. People are going to be like, oh, well, because they're only playing because this. But when you get your minutes, if you make the most of them and you play well, like it still means something to me. But yeah, I'm still super duper high on Ace Bailey. He was one of my favorite prospects last year behind Cooper, and I'm still all in on him. I think he's going to be great.
Daniel Rodriguez said, did they even say when Cade got hurt? Yeah, there's video of it. It's Cade Johnson landed on, and what didn't look that bad, and it certainly wasn't a dirty play or anything like that. Yeah. But Cade fell in front of Trey Johnson, who kind of landed on him, and that's where the injury occurred.
Yeah, I kind of caught like the knee as Trey
Yeah.
Johnson fell on him. It was about 5 minutes into the first Pistons Wizards game this week, and then he came out and now we find out it's a collapsed lung. Which, to your point, like you do have to worry. Like, is there something going on with the ribs there
Mhm.
too? With the way he took that hit, so we'll see.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you obviously you hate seeing an injury like that at any point, but for the Pistons to lose Cade right now, I guess better than it happening during the playoffs. They're hopeful he can be back for the playoffs, but man, that's a tough blow to kind of limp into the finish line like this.
Rosemary Tulip says Johnson doesn't even seem heavy. Anyone who has a toddler or has had a toddler in their life will tell you you drop 40 pounds, and, even if you don't, and he clearly weighs far more than 40 pounds.
Yeah.
You drop 40 pounds on you the wrong way, it's gonna hurt.
Yes. Yeah. It didn't look like that felt good. And the crazy thing is he tried to continue playing the game.
Did you when your daughter was young, did she ever do one of those when she's like sitting on your lap where they throw their head back?
Oh, the throw the head back. Yeah.
Oh,
so, so my wife got a bad black eye from a similar situation to that. It was on Halloween years ago, long time ago, and my daughter was messing with candy on the ground, and my wife leaned over to help her, and she threw her head back and stood up at the same time, and
man.
right in she immediate black eye, and every, for them the week afterwards, everybody's asking her "Are you okay? Is anything going on at home?" And all she's like, "My daughter reverse headbutted me." It was, oh man,
we had one of those.
Those
Yeah, we had something similar with that. And you're in the hospital, and they're like, "Can you step out?" And they're like, "Are you okay at home?" Is what they're asking. Which, hey, I'd rather have that every time. Right, do
for sure
what you need to do to take care of people. With that, I don't mind because I know there's because also if we got in a fight, I'd be the one who gets beat up. Let's be completely real here.
Now we have we have two Bernese Mountain Dogs, and one of them, she throws her head around all the time. They think they're giant 100-pound lap dogs.
Yeah, yeah.
She's laying and she'll throw her head back to look at you, and man, that thing is a weapon. It is. You gotta watch out for it. It's a scary situation to be in for sure.
Yeah. We not quite as big as your pups, but our two are between 60 and 70 pounds, and they're and they both are convinced oh, we're lap dogs, and the one is convinced he's never been bigger than when he was a little puppy. He still wants to walk along the back of the couch and all that stuff. Pet update. They're asking where Studio Stu is.
Studio Stu, he's not. He is sleeping somewhere. I think he's on the bed right now, sleeping. He spent all night being a pain in the butt, so now he's getting.
He's just fired up about Luka too.
That's it. It must be.
Texas Tech and Akron is tipped off, so we got two games going on March Madness right now. So Kentucky's up 20-18 on Santa Clara. Shout out for Santa Clara with their breakfast basketball hanging in there, and then Texas Tech up early, just a couple minutes in.
All right, let's go here. Hey Keith, where do you have Alex Condon from Florida being drafted at?
Yeah, I think he could work himself into the end of the first round. That's where I would take him. I'm really high on Alex Condon. I think he has been super productive. Teams are not shying away from older prospects, especially teams drafting towards the end of the rounds, because those teams are already good. So it's better for them, unless you have a fully fleshed, unless you're OKC and you've got 12 guys and you can't get minutes for all of them, you probably don't want an older prospect. You would rather go younger and just let them develop in the G League. But if you're Boston, who could maybe have a rotation spot, or the Lakers, who may have rotation spots to fill, an older prospect is okay with teams like that, because those guys will come in and can give you minutes right away. And I think Condon's going to be a good NBA player. He's he certainly got the size for center, and look at a guy like Ryan Kalkbrenner, who came in, ended up being an early second-round pick, and has had a pretty nice impact for the Hornets this year. I think Condon could be something similar.
Yeah. All right, let's go here. Do you think Houston will trade either Amen Thompson or Sengun in the summer? They are basically a way worse version of Simmons and Embiid. package one of them with the 27 Brooklyn pick, get something good. So basically, it's coming down to the struggles of Ahmed Thompson to shoot the ball. Sengun, not exactly a floor spacing big at this point. That's sort of packing the paint for the Houston Rockets. Yeah, Sengun 28% from three. Meanwhile, Ahmed Thompson 52% for the field, but he's 22% from three. I mean, teams are inviting
now he
him.
doesn't take them anymore.
No, he doesn't even take them. So is that something that cannot be problem solved moving forward to the point where you have to move one of them?
Yeah, it gets really tough when you have two guys who can't shoot in your lineup. It gets really hard to build that. That's tough because obviously both of those guys are really good players. It would have to be the really right trade. I'd probably try to go other ways to maybe fix that before I would necessarily go to moving those guys. If you're going to get somebody awesome, well, yeah, then go make the move. I had somebody say, I think it was when I was doing the live yesterday, but this is a common thing, is like the Rockets like being unwilling to like go all in to get somebody else like during in season.
That was surprising.
It was weird when you went all in to get KD.
Yeah.
And I know they didn't go all in, right? They didn't trade everything, but like you got Kevin Durant's not 27. Like, it's not like you're like, well, we've got the next 10 years of Kevin Durant. Like, yeah, it was that. Now it's seeing the way things went. I think they placed a hope in the offense will be better, and without really a solid, like, yes, it will be. Like, it's been tough.
It's like they had to drive 100 miles. And they saw the price of gasoline, and they got enough to go 75, which ultimately doesn't get them to the destination they need to get to. You know what I mean? Like that's what they did. They went and they spent money, but not enough to actually get to where they want to go. I was shocked that they didn't go add another guard. How much of their problems do you think is this dynamic? Two guys who don't shoot the three particularly well versus they don't have Steven Adams and they don't have Fred VanVleet.
So two separate things, right? The way they were initially constructed, it's that they don't have Steven Adams because a lot of their offensive philosophy was we'll get okay shots, but then we'll get great second shots. So losing Adams. Now that Adams is out, now it's transitioned to not having VanVleet or an equivalent level playmaker. I don't have anybody who can make the game easier for KD. Sengun is a nice passer, and he's got good skills, but he's not Jokic. He's not going to get the ball, bring it up, and set guys up and be great. Thompson can do some stuff, but because he's such a non-shooter, and I have maintained this for years, I would rather have a bad shooter than a non-shooter, because once you become a non-shooter, teams are like, we don't even need to, you don't exist to us when you are outside of the three-point arc. When you're a bad shooter, Marcus Smart is my all-time example for this. A bad shooter will have the occasional game where they'll get hot, and you're like, crap, you beat us. A non-shooter won't, because they just don't shoot ever. So that's where nobody makes the game easier for Kevin Durant. You saw it 2 games in a row, and it played out pretty much the same way both times, where it was, all right, what's our offense here late in close games? Throw it to KD and hope he makes something happen. Well, the way it used to run was throw it to KD, or KD will get it to somebody else. We'll throw a shot at the rim, and then we'll go track down the rebound and get a better shot on the second one. Now you don't have that, and now it's just falling apart. So it's tough, and this shows how hard it is to go from being a good team, which they were last year, to being a great team and a title contender, which they are not.
Let's go here. Loaded question, but on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is value in the NBA, and how much should it factor into front office decisions? I cheap guys becoming like Reeves, 45 million. Well, he can't get 45 million. Average annual value can get there, but not initially. Mathurin, 25 million, etc. Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this a lot, that like there's a reason why the Pelicans traded Brandon Ingram, and it wasn't because they hate Brandon Ingram or something. They decided they didn't want to be the team to pay him on his next contract. And we've seen that be a factor in a number of different decisions here, where teams are more wary than I think ever before about winding up being a team that overpays a player because of how punitive that is in today's luxury tax system with the aprons and all of that, because it means some very negative things for your roster down the way. We're also in an NBA where depth is more important than ever. So yeah, I mean, having value contracts is very, very important in today's league if you're going to have the kind of depth and sustainability that you need.
Yeah, we just talked about it with the Magic, right?
Yep.
If you pay everybody and they're not the exact right guys, you're in trouble because you're going to be really expensive and not good enough. So value, I mean, it's 10 or 1. I don't know which one's it's the most important thing. You have to have guys on the right kind of value contracts. Yes, you're probably always going to have some guys who are overpaid, but as long as it's not too many guys who are overpaid and they're properly balanced by guys who are underpaid, you're going to be just fine. That's why, all right, I'll use the Celtics as an example. Pretty expensive team, but they're getting all this very great production from guys who are on undervalued contracts like Sharman and Gonzalez. Now those are rookie scale deals, but you got to nail those late draft picks if you're gonna continue to be good year over year over year. That's how teams are going to break the system. You're not going to break the system through, I just paid everybody and went and traded for a whole bunch of guys. That may happen once in a while. How you're going to break the system being sustainably good is hitting on draft picks over and over and over again. And then what's going to happen is 5-6 years in, those draft picks they're going to get properly paid and they're going to move on and you're going to go. As long as you have your cornerstone guys, which for Boston, that's Tatum and Brown. Then I would argue now it's Derek White too. As long as you have those guys and they're still really productive and in their peak and all that stuff, you can cycle through the other guys, but you have to hit on those late round picks over and over and over again. Otherwise, you're gonna suffer a talent drain and you can't make it up. And the only way to make it up is restart the cycle again by getting off of the big money and starting over.
And it's harder than ever to get off of contracts because teams are so worried about anything being a negative value contract. They don't want anything that's even close potentially to being a negative value contract, just because you can't have that. You can't have guys that aren't offering bang for the buck on your roster. You can't be paying guys that aren't providing value to your team. It's just a very difficult situation to be in. It's part of why it was so shocking. I mean, even in the previous CBA, it would have been shocking, but it's part of why it was so shocking that we saw the Suns and the Bucks do the things they did, taking the dead money of Bradley Beal, taking the dead money, especially the Bucks. We look at the dead money of Damian Lillard, and then they went and gave Miles Turner a contract, which that hasn't really worked out.
Yeah.
So that's it's just a very difficult spot to be in, and it's very difficult to fix that situation once you're in that spot, because it's to the point where really good players like Anthony Davis, like Trae Young, suddenly became available to a team that normally they would never be available to, because around the league they were perceived as overpaid.
And nobody was
players are persona non grata now. Teams do not want them, and so the Wizards went that even if they're overpaid, we got to spend our money somehow, and they're better than anybody else that we're going to get. So okay, we'll go get it since nobody else wants these guys.
Yeah, my next prop, I'll get a mystical turban with a jewel or something that lights up. But I'm going to go into my crystal ball here, right? And I'm going to say when expansion comes, I think the expansion teams are going to get paid in draft picks to take on some contracts. We're still a couple years out from that. It'd be about 2 years out from expansion really cranking up, right? Because it'll be at the end of the 2027-28 season is where then it'll be, all right, now we get a looming expansion draft in 28-29, if the timeline goes as what's been put out there. I think you're going to see some of those teams, and what it'll be is like, oh, we can get star player X whose team no longer wants him, and at least, he's somebody fans can know. Maybe there's 2 years left on his deal. We're not going to be good for a couple years anyway. So why not get this guy and let's go? And I think you're going to see that happen. And what happens there, how that would work is that will be somebody like, I don't want to throw a player out there because I don't know who will even be what deals. Sure. But superstar players X team will say, hey, Seattle Supersonics, we will give you a first or 2 second-round pick or 2 first-round picks to eat the select this guy in the expansion draft. That happens, and we may see teams say, hey, we're going to pay you to select player Y instead of player Z because player Z we really want to keep. So, select this guy instead, and then that takes us off the table. So, yeah, it's going to be it's going to be interesting, to see
expansion. It's going to be a whole new weapon for these expansion teams, or at least a stronger weapon than it's been in the past. The ability to come in and absorb salary. I mean, it'd be like, could you imagine the excitement around the league from general managers if the amnesty provision became a thing for a summer game? You know what I mean? Like teams would love to clear somebody. Now, there's some teams that'll say, well, we've managed our books. We don't have anybody who would want to. But there's a number of teams that would jump at the opportunity to move some salaries off the books if they could.
Yeah. We got 2 questions about expansion draft. Will be fun to watch. Will it be televised? So in the past, it hasn't been. This has all been done completely behind closed doors. The protected,
and it's a bit of a slow draft too.
Yeah, and the protected list and the protected list and available list weren't even made public. When the Bobcats came in, a reporter in Charlotte did some incredible work to get most of the players who were protected figured out at the time. But it was one of those things where they didn't put out there. And you can kind of see why, right? You wouldn't necessarily want it.
No team wants their players to know that they were left unprotected.
That said, in this day and age, Shams will have those lists the minute they're final, and it'll be out there. And that's where the NBA, you have to just embrace it and just say, hey, you know what? Let's put it on TV. Because, I'll watch every second of it. I can already tell you guys, I'm already prepping stuff for expansion. We've got on Spot Track. We have our mock expansion draft tool that you guys can play with. Yes, Trevor and I will do a full mock expansion draft in the summertime. That is going to be a late July or August show.
In like 2 years.
There's nothing going on, but we will do a mock one. We'll probably do multiple of them, but we're not going to do it in season because we got enough other stuff to talk about. That'll be a fun summer show to do. But it will all get out there. It'll all be on. I think the NBA now knows, like, hey, fans are so invested in the draft, free agency, trades. This is like all of that come together with the excitement of 2 new teams. I'd be shocked if they don't have that all televised.
Yeah, they absolutely should. It would be a lot of fun. You can get trades during it, all kinds of things. It would be a good time. Yeah. I'd be excited for that.
Yeah, it'll be. I'm going to eat up every second of expansion. I am beyond excited. And I think if you combine expansion with whatever they come up with, if they get it right with the anti-tanking rules, it's just fine. I think there is more than enough talent in the league to expand. It's going to be a lot of fun.
All right, let's do one more question here, and then we'll do a spin on the lottery. If Austin Reeves only affects $20 million towards salary cap with his cap hold, why is there a discussion on how much to pay him this summer? Lakers should just pay him the max at $40 million. I think it's for future. Yeah, like in terms of their spending power this summer, he's just, they're going to look at him as 20 million, whatever is taken up on the on his cap hold. So, and then they're going to pay him after they've done all their spending. It's more about what that means for future moves. What does that mean for once you start getting closer to the aprons? What does that mean down the line? And also just the value on the contract. How is, not that they would be looking to trade him, but how is the value perceived on that contract? That matters as well. If it's seen as a huge overpay, that's not a situation most teams are going to want to get into. But in terms of their flexibility and spending power this summer, yeah, it doesn't matter so much what they pay Austin Reeves, unless they start doing some things that gets crazy and suddenly they get to up to that first apron or something this summer. But most likely it's not going to change their spending power if they give Austin 35 million or 40 million or whatever.
Yeah, and I'm just doing some math. That's why I'm not looking at the screen. So let's say the Lakers go into the summertime, they spend their 48 million in cap space. That's what I project, but whatever, 48, 50, whatever. It's all relative.
So much still up in the air.
Yeah, so they spend that. Then they spend their $9 million room exception. So now let's call that 57 million, spend 58 million. Then you pay Reeves 40 million after that. here's your little bit of your thing. What you have to be careful of is you don't want to put yourself in a position where it is, all right, we spent all our money and now we're over the tax, even though we're a cap space team. I don't think that's going to happen to the Lakers. I think they're going to be okay. I think they're going to have enough room under with that. And Reeves' cap hold is not, this is not one of those situations where Reeves' cap hold is $5 million because he's coming off a minimum and you have to pay him near the max. That's when it really gets tricky on these teams. But yeah, I get why the question is being asked, but you're absolutely right when you say it's really more about what does it look like long term.
Yeah.
You can't base it on like, yeah, who cares? Pay him whatever this year. Yeah, I'm kind of with you, right? It's not really going to matter. And this isn't the NFL. You can't give him $70 million this year and then drop that to 25 next year and say, oh, it's 45 each year. It's all good. Like it does,
Right.
as much as it'd be cool if it did work that way, it doesn't work that way. In the NBA. So that's where it's going to be interesting. There is and somebody asked me this. There is a chance the Lakers could go a slightly different way with this, but it's probably not going to happen. So this will be a good way to close out before we do our spin. Somebody said, couldn't the Lakers have Austin Reeves opt in, then renegotiate and extend him? Here's your problem, though. Now you've used your cap space to do that. If he opts in, he's at like 14.8 million, I think it is. That's he's not going to stay at that, right? You're going to bring him up to, let's just use 40, right? Let's just say it's 40. Now you use 26 million of your cap space to do that. Yeah, 14 is less than his $20 million cap hold, but you're not gaining, you're actually losing that way. So, so that's not going to be how this is going to play out.
Right, exactly, because you're paying him. I guess this is getting close to tax season here, so I'm thinking post tax. You're paying him post cap, basically the way we're looking at it right now. You're paying him after you've used your cap space, whereas in that scenario you'd be using a good chunk of your cap space to pay him.
Exactly, yeah. So you just got to be very careful the way you do this stuff, because if you do it the wrong way, all of a sudden it's like, wait, what? Why did we go that way? This is very different than the Jaren Jackson Jr. situation. He was already making like 30 million and they brought him up like by 10. Austin would be being brought up by like $25 million.
Exactly.
That's a lot. Somebody says it's very confusing. Yeah, but that's why we're here and that's why we're gainfully employed. So
exactly.
I don't mind that it remains confusing.
And everybody's saying like, oh, the NBA is in a bad spot because so much of the league is tanking. It won't be as much of an issue next year, regardless of what the NBA does this summer in terms of the rules they're going to put in about tanking. Look at what's going on in March Madness. Like that is why teams are tanking because the players in this draft class are so good. Next year's draft class is not projected to be so good. So guess what? Tanking's not going to be as big of an issue.
And Utah doesn't have a top 8 protected pick. Washington doesn't have a protected pick. I don't believe those teams are going to start to be better. Real quick, while you're pulling up Tankathon to do the spin because it's related, will Braden Burries be a top 10 pick? He plays for Arizona. They're playing in the second window today. Really, they're really, really good and they're really fun to watch. Maybe he may play himself into the top 10. He's somebody who could really good tournament and some good workouts, and in that he may get there. He's a good player. I really like Braden Burries quite a bit. And I remembered he's not Braylon Mullins, who's at UConn. That was a mistake I made yesterday because their names are just similar enough, and I'm old and tired, so it was what it was.
All right, let's do our spin here. Remember what's on the line. The Pacers pick, if it falls outside the top 4, it would go to the Clippers. The Wizards pick, obviously it's not going to, but if that falls outside the top 8, they would not get
Jazz
that.
Could.
The Jazz could. The Jazz pick would go to that's another OKC one, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm going off too little sleep, but in general, it's just usually a safe bet. If you see a pick that's protected, it goes to the Thunder if their team doesn't get it. All right, let's spin the way. Yeah, as there it is. Philly's pick goes to OKC as well.
Yep. They got one more too. You scroll down, you'll find it. There it is. Clippers.
The Clippers.
And then that one's mixed up in a whole best of worst of stuff.
Yeah.
OKC's not going to have their own pick because that's going to go to Dallas.
Right. Okay.
All right. Rules are, guys, one spin. No matter what the result is, that's it. We only do one.
Here we go. Oh, look at
Two
this.
East teams. The Hawks.
The Hawks moving all the way up to 2. The Brooklyn Nets get number 1. The Dallas Mavericks do it again, move up to 3. The Grizz move up to 4. The Pacers, the gamble does not pay off. The coin flip goes the other way. They lose their pick. It goes to the Clippers. Washington. I feel so bad. The Wizards and Kings fall 4 spots and 3 spots respectively, and Utah falls as far as they possibly can while still keeping their pick at 8. Wow.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. So I'll do a quick mock draft here. AJ DeBonsa to the Nets. I think Darren Peterson would be the pick to the Hawks, because they could use a guard more than they need another forward. Dallas is where it gets interesting, but I think they would take Cam Boozer. Now we got Boozer and Cooper Flag. There's our forward pairing moving forward. And then Grizzlies, they don't have a lot in the front court yet. So Caleb Wilson. And then Clippers, I would go with Darius Acuff, even though they already have Darius Garland. But I really like Darius Acuff a lot. So that's where I would go. But yeah, that's where it gets interesting. You could maybe flip-flop Memphis in the Clippers, Acuff and Wilson. But yeah, we'll see. But yeah, we'll be doing this every Friday. We're going to do tankathon spins until the actual lottery happens.
All right. We got one last super chat here. If the Hawks decline Kuminga's team option, can they spend in free agency, use his bird rights to sign him to a new deal? What would his cap hold be at?
Yeah, it's too high. So if they're going to actually have cap space, they would have to renounce his rights, which means then they could still re-sign him, but they wouldn't have his bird rights anymore. So they could spend if they were like, hey, we want to use the non-taxpayer mid-level. They could certainly do that with Kuminga. And there was some talk this week that him and the Hawks are interested in a long-term deal and all that. So we'll see. Somebody said is Queen hurt? Haven't heard from him lately. He's coming off the bench.
Yeah,
they moved him in and Jeremiah Fears both to the bench, so they're both coming off the bench. And it's been okay. Like they're still playing fairly well with that. So all right, there it is. It's March Madness time.
Yep. Appreciate all of you. Lakers Collective is going to be live in about 50 minutes, just over that. So be on the lookout for that one. March Madness, all kinds of stuff. Great stuff going on in the sports world right now. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button. Turn on those notifications as well. Have a great weekend. Till next time. See ya. And stay safe.